Hi, I think this is working now. My name is Natasha Rosewood, for those of you who don't know me, and I was supposed to be doing this at 6:30, but as it's working now, I think I'm just going to go with it, and so you can have the information. The topic this week is talking about feeling lost. Are you stuck in a void? Are you stuck between lots of different things? Thanks, Peter, for helping me out with the techno. I did reboot, and that seemed to solve the issue. So I'm just going to go ahead with tonight. I hope other people can join me. I did put a little note on Facebook that I wasn't going to be doing it tonight, but I'm going to go with the flow here. Okay. So many of us at different times in our lives go through a period of time where we just don't know what's ahead of us, and it's almost like we've fallen. I call it the void because it feels like we're going from one planet, we've left one planet, and we're floating out in space, and it feels like we've got nothing to hang on to, no guidance system, like a blank wall, and we get scared, we get nervous. What's going to happen to us? Where are we going? And it's very unsettling. And many of my clients come to me and say, Natasha, help, what's going on? So there's lots of different things about this that I think are important to know for your mental health. So thank you, Chris. Uh, Yes, I think sometimes going a bit later might be better for some people. So maybe this isn't a bad thing. So being in the void, I want you to know first and foremost, you are not alone, although it does feel like a very lonely experience. So there's many reasons, there are many reasons why we do end up in this kind of place. And I like to compare it to a blank canvas. Like you might be finishing up with an old life, and there's always a bit of a space between the old and the new. And because the new hasn't arrived yet, and maybe you don't have clarity or a sense of commitment or decision to that, what's coming up in the future yet, it can feel very scary. But you have to be like the fool in the tarot, with everything's available to you in all the ways of readings with the runes and the tarot. There's this period of what they call standstill in the runes, and that's what this is about. It's actually asking you just to be still for a while and just checking with yourself and see what really is coming up for you. So there are many causes, though, that can catapult us into the void. So the main thing, though, is that we are actually evolving, and this is why the void can be good for you. It's your soul really asking you to move forward and nudging you in that direction. But things that happen in our lives will nudge us into this. So losing the job or the career can be something that catapults them into the void. Maybe they don't want to do what they've been doing anymore. There's a feeling of dissatisfaction or lack of enthusiasm. It's like, I just don't want to do this. This is done. This is old. This is stale for me. So that's kind of a time to go into the void and really just be still. The ending of a relationship. Sometimes we end a relationship. Sometimes the relationship gets ended for us. We've all been there, and that can be very shattering for some people, depending on the relationship and what you thought was going on and maybe isn't. So again, it's asking you to get deeper in touch with your own truth about that, and you're going to maybe be floundering for a while. And what I'm saying to you tonight is it's okay. It's okay, because at the end of this void, when you come out of it, there's definitely going to be something better and more exciting coming to you. Some people lose trust. Something happens to them that just shatters their trust, or a belief that they held dear, their values. Something really shifts them. Some people are living in a very kind of abundant, wealthy way, and maybe a little too high off the hog, and they stop and say, there's no satisfaction in this. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe I need to reevaluate how I'm living. Alternatively, somebody may be living in poverty or not in a lack of abundance and say, hang on a second, I can have more, I can do more, I can be more. So it's about really shifting from one frequency to another with a space in between, which I call a void. If you lose trust, sometimes we lose faith and hope. So it's about just being with those feelings for a while and really questioning what is true for me right now? What is the universe trying to communicate with me in this kind of blank space? Sometimes a death, somebody dying that's close to us, an animal, a pet, can really catapult us into a new place. And feeling that loss and that grief and that void, the void that that person or that animal has left in our lives, can cause us to reevaluate our lives. What's next? Do we want to change things up a bit as this loss has occurred? Some of us just hit a wall from exhaustion. There can be many, many reasons. I go through this periodically and I just stop and I just go, okay, I'm in the void now. I'm just going to stop and let the world go by as I pause for a second and just wait for the new energy to come back and pick up again and carry on. According to my friends, I do this frequently. So I don't know if you can relate to this. Hi, Carol Barclay. Still on Vancouver Island, and you are an amazing painter. And Deborah Bacon joined too, also on Vancouver Island, I think. Sometimes our lifestyle does not jive anymore. We've been living in the country and we want to move to the city, or we've been living in the city and we suddenly want to move to the country. And sometimes these feelings come from, not from our ego mind at all, they come from somewhere else outside of us, our spirit guides, or up from our soul. So again, we're just connecting to that deeper level of ourselves. Some of us, if we're suffering from addiction, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we want things to stop, we need a change. So again, we're going to maybe hit a wall of some kind, and again, an opportunity to make a change and to really grow here. Others have shocks. So shock can be, change to your health, for example, a diagnosis, or it can be a loss of a career, or you witnessed a car accident. A lot of people witness things, and that can really shake them up and encourage them or empower them to really look at themselves and going, change something here. Maybe I need to change my diet, or maybe I need to quit smoking or do something that is going to, again, get me into this other frequency. A lot of people, when they're in the void, they lose confidence. And we'll be talking about that a bit more later. And they feel just plain stuck. It's like they've landed in the mud and they just can't get out. And it doesn't feel like there's anybody or anything around them that's going to pull them out. Fear is a very big part of being in the void. If you haven't had any of these experiences and we're going down into a lower frequency where we're not feeling as confident as we were before, or we've lost some kind of compass for our lives, we can get into a state of paralysis where we're like deers caught in the headlights going, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what's going on. And a lot of times that can be just that old fear that bubbles up from time to time and is triggered by being in the void and going, am I good enough? Can I do this? We can be afraid of success and or failure. So should we move forward? Is that the right way to do? Should it be going over here or over there? Failure sometimes in business or loss of the dream can put us again into that place where we just don't know anymore. We thought we could do this, but maybe we don't know anymore. And then, of course, there's a lot of unresolved grief. I have a theory that So many of us are walking around with this kind of lump of unresolved grief sitting in our solar plexus. And that grief, unless we go into it and release it and forgive it and bless it and let it move away like dispelling a cloud, then we're not really able to be totally confident. We're not able to go for our highest potential because that first needs to be resolved. And deservability. And I could write a whole book on that one. And in fact, I may talk about this one next week. This is why I feel that most of the human potential is wasted, because most of us are walking around with beliefs and conditioning in our subconscious mind telling us that we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, smart enough, you name it, enough. And what I do in my quantum healing work is really help people clear that out and get them to choose new beliefs for themselves so they can get into the high frequency where they know that they deserve and they can feel confident in making the decision. Tonight is don't avoid the void. Sorry, couldn't resist that. The void is a message from your soul. The good news is you're never alone in the void unless you want to be. It's a message of evolution for your own soul. This too shall pass. It's not going to last forever. For some people, it lasts a month, some people 6 months. I've been in one kind of for a year because due to exhaustion, and/or grief. It can take as long as it takes. So I want to say be kind to yourself when you're in it and be very loving. The more loving you are to yourself, the sooner you will come out of this. The greatest thing to fear is your own judgment of yourself. My clients come to me and they say, oh, Natasha, I can't make up my mind and I feel like such an idiot. And people are asking me, what shall I do? And I just say, you know what? It's a valuable place to be in your life. It's a gift of a time of reevaluation and recalibration. And our current Western culture does condition us to judge us and say, well, parents, teachers, friends might say, so what are you going to do? Where are you moving to? Where do you want to live? And there's a kind of a pressure that goes with that, because while we're in the void, we need to be very much in the present. But this pressure kind of urges us to always be looking forward, to know, have to have a plan, have to have a goal. Where are you going to be in 5 years? You don't need to know that. You just need to know what's going on with you now, because when you release everything in the now, the future just takes care of itself. It unfolds. So if anybody asks you that, just say, well, thanks for asking, but I'm staying in the present and it will come to me. There's a saying in the Book of Runes that what is mine will come to me, and so it does. And so it's okay not to know right now, and the void can actually be good for you. So I want you to, if you are feeling lost, if you are feeling stuck, or any of those things I've mentioned, first of all, I want you to give yourself permission to be lost. So these are 5 reasons why the void can be good for you. So reason number 1, sometimes we just need a time out. So the question to ask yourself, are you ego-driven or are you soul-driven? And for anyone that's read my first book and seen the pyramid, where I talk about 6 levels of consciousness, we talk a lot about the ego being the pea brain and being like the tip of the iceberg that just very little. The real action is going on in the deeper levels of consciousness, the alpha, the subconscious, the spirit, and especially the soul, and then the higher self. So when you're in the void, I think the soul is kind of pushing you to say, hey, you know what? You're not happy. We need to do something different. You think you're on the right path, but you're not. So I'm just going to kind of pull the rug from under your feet a little bit until I can get your attention. So being in the void is about listening to the soul. What do you love to do? What's your dream? I dreamed for years about becoming a writer. And then finally, I gave myself permission to write. And I started with 2 hours a week, and then it got to be 5 hours, and now I've gone all the way up to 2 to 3 days. And sometimes I'd like it to be more. So give yourself permission to do what you love, because when you love and you get into your heart, and that's your soul, that will give you a very strong indicator of what your soul wants to express through you and really what you need to be experiencing. There is a time of recalibration in the void as well. Even when you figure it out, you may just need to be going from one low frequency to one high frequency. And sometimes this can take a little time. It's like adjusting the temperature. The temperature doesn't go up immediately. It takes a little while to catch up with a thermostat. You are just like that. You've got a thermostat going on inside you. So the mantra for this one is, what I seek is also seeking me. Whether it's a person, a job, an outlet, a dream, you are a huge magnet, but when you're in your soul, you're in your authentic self, and then you can bring it to you. So if you're feeling in the void and you feel like you need time out, take it. Reason number 2 why the void could be good for you. The universe really wants us all to surrender to a higher self. Again, we've got caught up in this ego, control, judgment, limitation. It's got to look a certain way kind of thinking. And when we're in the void, there's a lot of discomfort in not knowing. The ego wants to go, come on, you got to get a plan going here. What are you doing? Get on with it. But again, the ego, we want to say, thanks for sharing, but can you just take a break? Because I really, at this time, need to listen to all of me, especially my higher self, who is my guide, and my soul that is teaching me what I need to express in this life. So we need to let go of the ego, the judgment, the control, feeling less than. And other people. God bless other people, parents, friends, relatives, teachers, mentors. We tend to want to go to them, and psychics sometimes too. We tend to go to them when we're in the void and feeling very lost. And we sometimes give our power away to them, thinking that they know us, so they must know what is maybe best for us. This isn't always the case. So this is why I really empower people to listen to their intuition, to listen to their gut. What am I feeling? By all means, ask other people, but listen to them and see if it resonates with you. Does it feel right or does it feel wrong? It's really quite simple. It's going to be one or the other. And we come to this life really to become masters of ourselves, to remember our huge potential, how beautiful and wonderful and amazing we are. And it does take some courage. So being in the void could require you to put your big girl panties on, or your, for the guys, the long pants on, and really stepping up to the plate and going, this is scary, uncomfortable. I don't like being here, but you know what? This is an adventure. I'm just going to be brave and see what is shown to me. And I can guarantee that you'll be shown something that's probably a lot more exciting and maybe healing and maybe much more aligned with who you really are than what you have been doing in the past. So, when we're in this place and we're fighting the void, it's like the ego doing battle with the universe. That's like David and Goliath. Only the ego is David and Goliath is the universe. So you're not going to win. So you may as well surrender to the larger force that is speaking to you through this energy of stuckness and being lost. And you don't want to be in resistance because, again, it's like going up an elevator that's coming down. That's going to be a lot of the river. The river's going down, but you're trying to get up the river. You're going to be exhausted, feel overwhelmed. It's going to feel kind of hopeless. So you may as well just go, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to leave this to the universe. I'm going to go watch my favorite movie or go for a walk or go to Mexico for 2 weeks and let the universe figure it out. And by the time I get back, I'll know. I do this frequently and it really works well for me. And in the meantime, I get a nice holiday. So the mantra for this one is let go, let God. Reason number 3, why being in the void can be really good for you. A lot of us, because we're future focused and we've got to have a plan and we've got to know what's going on, we've got to say, oh, I've got to make a decision. That's why a lot of people come to me, Natasha, I've got to make this decision. What shall I do? And really, there are no decisions to be made. There are no decisions to be made because when you're in your authentic self, you are in the flow of the universe. There's no resistance, and you're going down this beautiful river, and it's taking you where you need to go. So you don't have to decide, shall I hang onto the bank now, or shall I go down this walk or this walk? When you're in the right place at the right time, and it's feeling right for you, you will just know. It will be like a neon sign. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I was living in Kitsilano many years ago, and I knew I wanted to move out of Kitsilano, the fire engines and the ambulances and the police were wailing every night, and it wasn't a very peaceful existence. And I knew I wanted to move somewhere small, but I didn't want it to be small-minded, a small-minded community. I wanted there to be kind of an interesting community, but I didn't know where to go. So I just said to the universe, okay, I'm going to just let this go. It will come to me. And 2 months later, a very good girlfriend of mine called and said, hey, do you want to go up to Whistler for the weekend? I said, hey, I've got a friend who lives up there too. We both discovered we shared the same friend. And after that weekend, it became obvious to both of us that there was a lot going on in Whistler that we wanted to be part of. So the neon sign was up there, and I moved to Whistler and spent 6 very happy years there. So there are no decisions to be made. And in a way, when we say that we want something right now, or why don't I know right now, we have to remember that we're part of a collective consciousness. There is a synchronicity, and sometimes there's a critical mass that has to kind of form until the thing, the plan, the event, the person becomes ready for us. Then it's ready for us, and we can just step into it easily and effortlessly. So the mantra for this one, again from the Book of Runes, we do without doing and everything gets done. So no decisions. And if you really are at that place where I've got to buy this house or buy that house, and you don't trust your instinct, just put each decision one in the left, which one feels better, lighter, more fun. Despite all the appearances of that choice, know that what feels right for you, what feels more comfortable, what feels more joyous is the answer if you have to make the decision. So number 4 reason why the void can be good for you, we need to realize that we do know, but our stuff gets in the way. So let me explain this. If you look at my book, the first book, I think I'm psychic and you can be too. There's a diagram in there called the 6 levels of consciousness. And I talk about this there, that I believe that before we come into this life, before we become physical, and while we're still in spirit, we write our own movie script of our whole life. It's just an overview. We can change. We have free will. And that movie script, the people, the places, the major events, is embedded in our soul. But when we come into the physical and we're born, we go through this veil of forgetfulness, so it becomes very vague. And it's somewhere in the back of our mind that, oh, I think I'm going to become a writer, or I think I'm going to live in Sweden for 10 months when I'm 35, or whatever it is. So underneath all of this, we do have information available. And I know this because when I do quantum healing and when I do past regressions, people do know, and they come up with their own reality that they're choosing. So on that level, you have a soul expression. So for me, it's writing and being a healer, a spiritual healer, and doing the work I do. For you, it might be running a company or becoming a pilot. What is it that you feel that you really want to do? Then when people know that, then they decide, oh, but I don't deserve that because my father told me I was an idiot, or my mother said I was stupid, or my teacher said you can't write, which by the way happened to me. And so we take that information in and those events in and make it our self-image, and we take those belief systems into our subconscious, and then we shut her down. We shut down our soul expression. And so when you get into the void is saying, there's something you need to look at here. Maybe you need to look underneath the stuff and see the beautiful that you do have and you really do want to express. I call it like throwing your treasured items into the basement of your being and then throwing all your old clothes and stuff on top of it. So you've completely forgotten who you really are, what you're good at, what you love, and that's why you feel stuck and lost and I don't know who I am or what I want to do with my life. So we've got to excavate those gifts again and get rid of the stuff, release it, forgive it, bless it, go through a quantum healing, go through a past life regression, and then recover, excavate and recover who you really are. So you do know it is available to you. If you are in deep grief, for example, you may need to go to a grief counselor. Maybe you want to take up art classes. There's all kinds of ways that you can recover that. Go to just a hypnotherapist. Sometimes going on a trip can help you remember who you are and give yourself permission to do that no matter what those people said. I can't tell you, I came from a family of 7 in total, and all of them did a number on me. But, you know, I fought and fought and fought to get to this place where now I really do believe in myself, and I'll probably be fighting to the end of my life because I know in my soul that I have so much more to give and offer the world, and so do you. So we want to be non-resistant, in congruency, and when we're free flowing, then we're in harmony with our soul, then we're at peace, and then it's like being in neutral. Everything can just bubble up and be there for us, and it's really quite amazing. I tell so many of my clients, oh, you can dance, you can sing, you can write movies, you're going to live in this place, you're going to marry this guy, and people look at me like, Natasha, I think you're nuts. I said, well, yes, I am nuts, but you know, I'm also speaking your truth. Then they'll come back to me 6 months, 2 years, 10 years later and say, oh my God, you were right. And I know I'm right because when you come to me for reading, I'm looking into your soul and your subconscious, and I can see what the good stuff is surface. So the mantra for this one is, I am at peace with my soul. Isn't that nice? So number 5, reminder, number 5 reason, and last one is, life is an adventure, and being in the void is another adventure. So you need to really step into the adventure. The courage I like to ask you, for you to ask yourself is, are you a traveler in this life or are you a tourist? And I know I've done a lot of traveling. I've hitchhiked around Europe, I've flown around Europe, I've driven around Europe, I've slept in my VW camper, I've slept in tent grounds, hostels, strangers' homes. I love the adventure of travel because getting lost when you're traveling can be very exciting, can be hairy, but you know, often I've never come out of getting lost in a travel without going, wow, that was so cool. It was scary maybe a bit at the time, but later on I had a great story to tell. And being in the void is a bit like that. So set intention actually to be a traveler, not a tourist, not somebody who is taken by the hand and shown the world and spoon fed where to go and what to do. Be a traveler, go off the beaten track. And this is what the void is, just for a little while. Go off the beaten track of your own life and see the unexpected that might be waiting for you. And you might be so grateful that you did that. So intend to get lost, explore the unexpected, relax, relax, relax. And the mantra is, for this one, I am safe and all is well in my world. So I want to thank you all for listening. I do these things because I do want to support people as they go through these challenging times. And I'd love to hear from you. In any way, hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining me, and Chris East as well. and all the others that have joined me tonight. It's really heartening to see so many, and I do feel this is a big topic of getting lost because it's very common. So please know that if you want to talk to me, please come check in with me for a reading, and I can help you guide you through this period of time. And who knows, I can help you take that stuff away from you so your gifts and challenges and who you want to be when you grow up just naturally bubbles up, and it's sitting right there like a big fat neon sign in your life. So thank you. I'm sorry about the techno problems at the beginning of this Facebook Live. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And next week, I think I am going to talk about deservability and why we keep ourselves on that thermostat and not allow ourselves to be free to realize our greatest potential. So I'll see you next week on the bright side, Tuesday at 6:30. See you then. Thanks for joining. God bless.